Clements here, and I'm with a long-standing friend of mine, Dr. David Ireland. He's the lead pastor of a megachurch, Christ Church in New Jersey. It's transcultural, transethnic, transracial, and we've been talking about a global issue, and that issue has to do with the concept of reconciliation and sensitivity. So, Dr. Ireland, talk with us a little bit about your work.
Well, thank you, Bishop Clements. It's a joy to deal with people when it comes to reconciliation. I think many times the problem that we have when we deal with issues of race and ethnicity where there's difference, we just don't know how to speak to each other. And one of the things that's necessary when you create conversation around difference ethnically, racially, nationally, it's creating an atmosphere of trust, an atmosphere of respect. Imagine the old justice scale, when you have a scale and you have two trays. And think about it this way when you deal with relationships where there's difference. Every relationship or every interaction I have that may be intercultural, there's either going to be rewards or cost. If the interaction creates rewards means respect, gives me access to opportunities, access to resources, then that interaction is always going to create friendliness and build trust. If the interaction on the other end is negative, it's disrespectful, it's exclusive, or exclusion is what I'm creating, then it creates a cost. And relationships that cost me, I don't want to get involved with because it hurts. When I did my PhD dissertation years ago, I did it on the black-white relationship in large multiracial churches in America. There's a theory called the social exchange theory. And the social exchange theory, it's in fancy terms, it comes from the world of economics and sociology. What the social exchange theory simply says is, in order for me to cross over into your world that's different than mine, racially, ethnically, culturally, I must gain something from your world that I can't gain from my own. And so most people always ask me, how do you establish a church that is multiracial? And then I always bring them to that point. What will someone gain by being in your church when they're of a different race than the majority that they can't gain from being in their own? 4 things that cause the church to grow in a transracial way. One is the sovereignty of God. I can't control that, so let me put that to the side. God does what he wants to do when he wants to do it. I can't control that. The other 3 I do have some control over. The second reason that causes a church to grow in a transracial or a multiracial way is the worship experience. Something flows out of that worship experience that's so transformative that I'll drive by 100 churches where everybody in those churches look like me to come to that church where it's racially diverse. Why? Because I gain something from the worship experience that I can't gain when I'm with my own quote unquote racial or ethnic group. The third reason may be the sense of belonging. When I'm there at that local church where I might be a racial minority or may not be, but the church is racially diverse. A racially diverse church must have at least 20% of a different racial group than the majority. That's the technical definition of a multiracial church. So something happens in this sense of belonging. I feel connected. I feel I'm part of the community. And so that's the third reason. The fourth reason, Bishop Clements, is the pastor, not the preaching, the person. Something flows out of that pastor's life that's so transformational. I'll drive by 100 churches where everybody looks like me to go there, because when I'm there, I'm able to connect with that pastor, and it's life-giving, the experience. And so I'm part of that multiracial experience because of the pastor. And mind you, though there are 4 reasons why the church grows multiracial in a multiracial way, it may only be one of those reasons that's causing a particular church to grow in a racially diverse way. In other words, you don't have to have all 4, or in the sense of the last 3 that I listed, the sense of the worship experience, the sense of belonging, or the pastor. You don't have to have all 3 at work in order for the church to be racially diverse, but you have to have at least one of those 3. And again, that social exchange principle is very real. What am I going to gain from being in your world that I can't gain from being in my own?
So if you look at this whole, and I recognize that we'll always have tension, that we have to live our life in tension. Unity and sameness is not always synonymous. If there were 3 critical points that you would have us to look at in terms of this issue here, what would they be? The three critical points that you faced, or even the three most significant challenges?
And I would come back to that whole justice scale metaphor. I would say, what are the rewards that people have when they get with you? So I'm going to look at rewards, I'm going to look at cost, and then I'm going to look at how am I growing in helping to heighten the rewards and lower or lessen the cost. So when I increase rewards, I become racially attractive. When I lower the cost, I become racially attractive. When there's more cost of every intercultural interaction with me, then I become less racially attractive. I'm not saying you have to look like Brad Pitt. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that a racially attractive person is someone who's so comfortable in their own skin that they make others comfortable in their skin.
And you've written some books along that line too, haven't you?
I have my two latest books on diversity. One is called the Skin You're In, and the
Mhm.
other is One in Christ: How to Build Bridges of Reconciliation is the
And
subtitle.
they can, where would those be available? How can they
They
get
can
those?
be wherever books are sold, and you can also go on Amazon and order those books. Just type in that name, David Ireland, and then up comes those books and lots of other books that I've written.